May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. In a world with so much tragedy and wickedness and evil, how can we observe the sacred Triduum and Easter? 2 years ago, Pope Francis asked the same question just before Christmas. In the run-up to the Christmas season, he said that to celebrate was a charade because the whole world is at war. And we've heard today of the dropping of the largest bomb since the nuclear bomb in the Second World War, at the end of the Second World War. We have heard of Christians who gather to worship on Palm Sunday in the ancient Coptic Church of Egypt being blown asunder, killed and murdered. We hear of chemical weapons, and then we hear other people arguing that there have been no chemical weapons deployed. How can we celebrate with so many vile lies? How can we observe with such wickedness that prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour? Mankind cannot bear very much reality, T.S. Eliot observed, and he was absolutely right. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend to heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in Sheol, thou art there also. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there thy hand shall lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. It seems that we cannot escape the presence of God, just as we cannot escape the presence of wickedness. C.S. Lewis, normally known as one of the more congenial of writers, reminds us that it is about as foolish to speak of a person looking for God as it is to speak of a mouse looking for a cat. It is always the other way round. The cat is looking for the mouse, and the mouse had better be on the lookout. The world and its horrors demand our attention. And it's not good enough to say, we're at the point of crisis tonight, but it'll be all right in a couple of days' time. Easter and resurrection are just around the corner. Everything will be okay. We were talking and discussing about this last night in our Lenten study course, the last of our Lenten study courses. The theological point of these liturgical occasions, this liturgy that commences tonight and does not end until the great Easter Vigil, the theological point of these liturgical occasions points us to the harsh reality that there is no guarantee that it will all end up smelling of roses and flowery and exquisite. Everything is on the line. Everything is up for grabs for God. That's what it means to win atonement, to redeem humanity. It's not good enough for someone just to say, it'll be all right on the night. Death is still there. Suffering and pain continue. Children are blown apart in Egypt. For humanity to know redemption, God must come to the rescue. We cannot do it on our own. God must himself reach down and raise fallen humanity, which is what Christ does this night. He stoops to raise fallen humanity by placing himself beneath our feet, by washing our feet, that most intimate, private, sacred part of us that we do not usually show to the world. Only if God is prepared to risk all, to risk himself, can we be won from death and destruction. Gerard Manley Hopkins: the dappled die away, cheek and wimpled up, the gold wisp, the airy grey eye, all in fellowship. All this beauty blooming, all this freshness fuming, give God while worth consuming. God enters into human suffering at the very heart of thisness, this frail stuff that is melting away, that is aging, becoming frail and fragile. God takes on our nature, not as an observer, as a sympathizer with sweet tea and sympathy and a shoulder to cry on, standing by, but God undergoes betrayal and abandonment and despair and abuse. And even in that cry of dereliction, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? God undergoes and understands what it means to be abandoned by God. So George Herbert will have the last word. Who knows not love? Let him essay and taste that juice which on the cross a pike did set again abroach. Then let him say, if ever he did taste the like, love is that liquor sweet and most divine, which my God feels as blood, but I as wine. In the name of God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.